Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Shift Handover. We're here with another episode for you. Me and my co host,
Mark Smith.
my name is Dan Sharp, and today we are joined by.
My name's Darren Attard.
How did you manage? Because obviously we've talked about subcontracting environment. You could be really settled in your venue, really comfortable, really happy. Then all of a sudden, boom, we've lost this venue. The licensees come in, he wants to change company, wants a completely different team. Your whole world, professional world, was just upside down overnight. I think for people without ADHD, that's a difficult period to process. How did it impact you when things like that happened?
I gotta say, I don't think it ever happened to me. I think I was
Okay.
quite fortunate in certainly in my town centre work. I was with the same firm who often changed names after after a few years for whatever reasons, legal or tax. And then the other company that were a huge company, kind of a worldwide company. So it didn't affect. I suppose bigger effect would have been changing of teams or head doorman leaving or that sort of thing. I remember my first shift. There was a big incident, and it wasn't my first door, so it was my first back with an SIA license, and that the head doorman was arrested that night, and
Wow.
unfortunately he'd been involved in an incident and it really hurt someone.
Whilst at work.
Yeah, and he got like 8 years.
Wow. Did you witness the incident itself or not?
No, I didn't witness. So literally, I was on a back door somewhere, and it had all kind of gone on, happened. Ambulance had turned up, and then it was about an hour after the police came and arrested him. And obviously, we didn't then see him for ages. And it was only then when I read it in the kind of court thing that he got 8 years for that.
They turn up and nick in mid shift then.
Yeah. That'd be
That
first
must be
shift.
embarrassing. Being taken off your door.
Yeah, it's awful, but it's bad what he did, was it?
So again, I didn't witness the so I think it was bad restraint,
Right.
And unfortunately, I want to be sensitive to whoever the victim was,
Yeah.
because I wasn't there, I didn't see the whole incident, but I believe essentially after restraint, he had ended up with a broken neck.
Wow.
And so whether that was poor restraint technique, whether that was a mixture of both, or sometimes people are really violent and difficult to restrain. It doesn't matter how many, you get that, there's 5 of you on him. Well, you try and restrain someone by, not many people can do it. You need multiple people to make it safe, but actually you need far better training than the SIA initially offer. We used to call it like 20 ways to push a drunk, right?
Yeah.
There you go. You're restrained. I'm going to walk you out the building.
Please come with me, sir.
Yeah.
Please come with me.
I
am completing a citizen's arrest.
Remember that film Demolition Man?
Yes.
Like that. Always wanted we're moving into that state.
Yeah.
When they say no, they go, "Oh, malfunction. We don't know what to do now." They refused.
It's true. I think it's wider, needing to develop your skills outside of that, and there's a place for everyone in the security industry, but I believe if you're working frontline, you're on a door overnight, you're in a town centre, whatever you're doing, you should be involved. You should be better trained, i.e. you should understand restraint. You should understand if you put pressure on someone's chest when they're on the floor, what the consequences of that could be. All of that, the situational awareness and doing things outside of work that are going to help you with that, keeping strong, training some jiu-jitsu, whatever it is you want to do, boxing, jiu-jitsu, all that. Just working on that stuff. Not, well, you know what, I've had a couple of fights, I can handle myself, it'll be all right. It's just not, it's not okay.
I think learning martial art, I'm a fan of boxing, and I've tried a few. different martial arts. I was never good at it, just not my sport that I naturally took to. But I think one thing that you benefit most isn't how to put an armbar on someone or how to deliver a jab or right. It's not any of that stuff. I think the biggest benefit of learning a martial art is that it teaches you to stay calm in those situations.
Yeah.
Because the ability to remain calm. Because if someone's really riled up and they're going at you, sometimes your calm presence can really make them feel unsettled. No, he's not. He's not panicking. Shit, what does this guy know that I don't? And that can also have an
massive
impact.
dearming technique sort of thing. And yeah, you don't want to be rolling around on the floor with guys, but I think definitely learning that, how to restrain people safely. And I see a lot of people, they'll go straight for a chokehold and stuff. And again, they're cutting off air, they're not cutting off blood and things. It's like, mate, don't be trying to pull that stuff if you don't know what you're doing either.
Exactly.
When I first got badged, I remember being spoken about like the spear system and stuff like that. And then, I was one of these, if someone suggested something, I'd go and look into it, and then went and did a day of it in Brighton. And, again, that teaches you about being in a real chaotic situation, having, 4 or 5 people laying into you. How do you control your stress, your cortisol, your adrenaline and all that? And I think things like that people should be doing.
So describe what the spear system is.
Oh, there's probably people better than me. I did it a long time ago, but I went and did an introductory day, and it's very much used in. It's massively taught in policing as well as like military stuff as well, and it is that is being calm in a chaotic situation. So it's a lot of always stress testing is the right word, where you're fully suited up, big pads, big face pads, everything, and you might have 4 or 5 guys, with foam battens or whatever fists, like really coming into you, and it's okay. So life preservation at first. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What am I doing here? Because you're not going to be fighting 5 guys. Stopping yourself ending up on the floor, curled up, and actually, it's a real good for that. I guess there's a much better word for it, but that kind of stress tested stuff. But I'd recommend people look at it. There's not many people that run it and do it, but I do know there's a guy in Brighton who's good. Maybe we could put a link or something. I don't know. Help him.
And it's funny to talk about restraints, and obviously you having ADHD is. I guess a common stigma is that people with ADHD are very short-tempered, very reactive. I'm not talking about insecure. I'm talking about in life in general. People with ADHD, the stigma is people with ADHD. They're very short-tempered, etc. When you've been involved in incidences and the subject is restrained, have you ever had any problems within yourself calming down straight away? Because I've seen people, they're still continuing the restraint when they don't need to, just because they're not doing it deliberately. They're just in that moment. And this is people without ADHD as well, by the way. Have you had to put anything in place to make sure that you don't apply unnecessary pressure once the situation is resolved?
Yeah, I think. Again, I think it is something that applies to everyone, like you said. Particularly, you have to watch everything, don't you? You're tired, your kids kept you up the night before, you've come off a shift the night before, you've maybe worked in the day, you're heading out, you've had 2 hours sleep, you're irritable, you're having loads of caffeine, and you have to keep a lid on things, don't you? You have to be, you cannot kind of meet equal chaos with equal chaos, because it just doesn't work. You've got to be, whenever I guess train people in social care settings, it would be, I'd say to them, you can be, everyone's always the spark, and you can be fuel, you can be water to that situation. And you do really have to, watch yourself. I think I suppose with the kind of masking thing, I was good at being professional when I was at work.
Yeah.
So I could, and probably in my own life, I would blow up at other things separately. But at work, I think I was pretty good. Definitely times, someone is, they spent ages abusing you, and then it's fine. You've ended up with hands on in a situation that they've ignited. Yeah, I think if you're full of adrenaline, it can be easy. But I think that's where having good workmates, good working with a team that really know you. I can definitely think of one incident where I completely lost my rag, and it's like some lad like slapped me in the face with like a skanky, sweaty t-shirt, and I lost it. I fully admit I did lose it. But thankfully, I think I had good team with me that Darren, stop. But yeah, I think for the most part, I like to think I was quite professional in what I did. And doing that extra stuff outside of that helped me not to run off too much fear or too much aggression or even anxiety. People do things when they're scared as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we all need, and I think it is that really watching how am I taking note of yourself and your position, your mental, your physical, that before anything happens, like before there's, how am I feeling? How's my sleep been?
Yes.
Has this, what's going on for me? And it takes I think that takes a level of understanding yourself, which not everyone necessarily has. But I think it's really important.
Yeah, and it's an interesting point you make there, because I wouldn't know what the actual percentage is, but I would say it's probably in the 90s in terms of about 90% of people doing door work particularly are doing it as a second job.
Most people do, yeah.
I'd say it's maybe it's the 95% in this day and age. Not many people are living off door supervisor work.
No.
There are a couple of venues that operate 6 nights a week, and there's a guy there. I would say there's probably less than 15 people in the Poole and Bournemouth area
Yeah.
who have got a full-time door job. I don't know if you'd agree
Probably
with that.
about right, yeah.
And so a high majority of people doing door work are working during a day, second job, caffeined up, 2 hours sleep.
Yeah.
Newborn babies.
Yeah.
Newborn babies that the area manager wouldn't let them go witness the birth of.
But you're absolutely right. Yeah, you've got to know yourself, and you've got to know what makes you tired. You've got to know your limitations, the shift times, because security will always accept more shifts.
Oh yeah.
If you've got a guy, he's worked till overnight, and if you say, "Well, look, we're short, can you come back on in 3 hours?" He'll say, or she'll say yes, because they want the hours. But they know for well they're going to be blitzed.
Yeah,
and that's when they're liable. That's when you're going to get complaints. Yeah.
Deal with that.
So, but it is hard. Financial pressure, the money's there. You also know that if I say yes to that shift, I'm more likely to get more shifts. So it is hard.
What I did once, and this was stupid and dangerous, was I was doing the mobile response work.
Yeah.
And their shift from Sunday to Thursday, it's through the nights. But then over the weekend, you have a 12-hour day, 12-hour night shift.
Yeah.
And I was doing the 12-hour Saturday and Sunday days, doing Friday, Saturday nights on the door.
Yeah, you can't do it, mate. Well,
driving around for 12 hours,
yeah, you can't
going back to work on the door, literally sleeping 4 or 5 hours throughout the whole weekend. And it's one thing if you're doing a job that's not as dangerous as driving on the bloody M27.
Yeah.
So.
But how irritable does it make you? You stand on the door that night after doing all that, you're tired. Someone says the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You're more likely to lash out. You don't have that calmness. You don't have that tolerance.
And that's when I think my relationship with door work really changed even more so, because it is a part-time job for most of us. So you want to enjoy your part-time job, because if you don't enjoy it, don't do it.
Yes.
Once you start doing it tired to that level, and there's always going to be an element of it because it is a second job. Once you start getting to the point where you're that tired, your relationship with door work changes. You stop looking forward to the Saturday nights. You stop wanting to iron your shirt. You stop caring about your presentation. You stop, you know, the things you used to enjoy don't become enjoyable anymore. Those banterous conversations with the locals aren't fun anymore because you're just so tired. And
I do believe that from my experience that door staff have a peak period. It's like a 5-year period. It doesn't mean they can't be very good as they go on, but they have a 5-year period.
Yeah.
And after that 5 years, unless they've gone on to different areas of security or they found a venue which is a bit more subtle, they tend, the majority tend to lose that sharpness, that effectiveness.
Yeah.
Because they've done that period. And it's a young man's game as well. You know, in your 20s, it's good. You start getting 30s. You know, when you find yourself, and I'm 50 now, but when you find yourself in your 40s or your 50s, you can still do it.
Yeah.
But that you're just Father Time waits for no one, as they say. And you know, and you're more anxious then as well, because you're like the things you used to deal with in your 20s, you don't really want to be dealing with in your 40s.
No.
So
and actually it's funny because I did some security work at the start of the year, and I recognise I am nowhere. I wouldn't even today. I wouldn't say I'm a great doorman anymore, because I think once you're not emotionally invested in something
you
anymore.
say you were a great doorman before.
There we go.
Gary Top Line.
Absolutely.
Or Lenny McLean.
No.
Let's have the big one.
No, but I wasn't. I wasn't to my own. I wasn't to my own standard.
Yes, I know.
When I was working recently, I wasn't. I was there,
absolutely
doing a favour, getting through the shift, doing the basics, but I wasn't as emotionally invested in it. I wasn't. The standards weren't what they would have been 8-9 years ago. But what's really sad is the generation of today's door stuff should be making me look really, really shit.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Not. That's exactly it.
And that's why we're here, I guess. And I'm sorry, like, again, there are some really good doormen out there working. There really are. But I should not, with my mindset, the way I view security work today, the application I put into it today, which is barely minimal. They're lucky I'm turning up.
Yeah.
You know, I should not be outperforming the guys who are there regularly.
I agree.
You know, I should be turning up, and the guys I'm working with should be going to the license. Oh, don't bring that old fucker back. He's useless.
That's right.
That's what should be happening.
No, you're right.
That's
you're right.
Exactly. You know, because
I also think there's a massive change as well culturally.
Yeah.
You know, now 10, 15 years ago, you didn't have so many different cultures. You didn't have so many different ways of working, different mindsets. The customers you're dealing with were different.
Yeah.
You know, I drove through here today. I drove down Old Christchurch Road, and I was looking, and I was actually. It was nice to see. There's quite a few old people, couples, walking up Old Christchurch Road, and I thought, but I thought, well, that's what I used to see 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But the difference is now they're probably tourists. They're probably people that have come down for a day trip and walking around thinking, where are we? Whereas 20 years ago, you'd have been dealing with those people all the time.
Yeah, I do. You remember the couples that come, the regular couples, don't you?
We didn't have machete wielding people 20 years ago. Of course, there's the odd instant, but you didn't have it. Now I'd be mindful of everyone.
Yeah, that's the thing. 15 years ago, you know.
So sorry, Dan. So where I'm going with that is that although you are absolutely right, we will see ourselves outperforming. Those guys on the front line now would probably think, well, they are performing because that's the culture they're dealing with now.
Yeah.
Like I've seen guys on front doors now with handcuffs, and they look like they're tactical SWAT teams. And I think, what the fuck are you wearing that for? But in their head, they're dealing with a different threat.
Yeah.
So they probably think that's how it is.
Everyone's carrying a knife.
They probably look at us in the suit and tie and think, that's a bit stupid. What are you wearing that for?
You're prepared.
We're going to be rolling around later.
There's going to be some red splatches in that white shirt, mate. Yeah.
That's it. So
I get it. Yeah. And
you are absolutely right. Yeah.
You know, and I just think back then, guys who were bigger than me, could kick my head in if they wanted to. I didn't feel the element of fear because I knew that, okay, I may get broken nose, chipped tooth, whatever. Today, some 8 stone wet through 15-year-old can end your life.
Yeah, just like that.
The fear that was, I mean, it happened before, of course it did. I do think there's a massive spotlight on Bournemouth at the moment in regards to that, but I do think it's a nationwide issue, and Bournemouth is getting an unfair
Yeah,
spotlight.
Bournemouth seems to get a bad rep. I mean, it is getting worse, but it's not as bad as they are.
But I think the whole country's getting worse.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The whole country.
Yeah, I think in relation to the entire country, where
yeah,
we're not Cheetah Mill, Moss Side, or
exactly that,
or
exactly that.
No offense to anyone who lives there, but far higher crime rates than we are way above, and I think it's important not to get sucked into all that. But just what you're saying,
fear-mongering.
Yeah. Do you think I suppose I remember too. If you're pre-SIA, there was a very distinct difference in the way situations were handled, and I guess in the way doormen were to post that. I suppose you think doormen have lost their fear factor a little bit.
Oh,
in that way.
Absolutely.
Because
Oh, absolutely.
if you misbehaved in certain clubs, 20-something years ago, you'd be in trouble.
Fear factor from what? The authorities, or
I think from the team of door staff.
Yeah.
It's very different now, isn't it? Of take the big super clubs. With I don't want to say notorious teams, because a lot of them are professional doormen still and security contractors. So I don't want, because actually I think the job people did was better in a lot of ways. But there was also a lot of negative things that went on within that, like we all know. But I think you're almost more at risk now because there's so much legislation. There's so much. What am I trying to say? I knew if there was a situation 20 years ago, 22 years ago, when I first did my, that I had 8 really flipping solid guys around me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now I wouldn't be so confident in that.
Also, I look at it the other way, the respect factor as well. And I guess the police can mirror this. When I was 16, trying to get into nightclubs underage, if I got caught, I was apologetic, and I was really worried that, oh my god, I'm not gonna mouth off the security or the copper because I don't want to get arrested. I don't want to say intimidated, but in a respectful way. You don't want to be. Now we refuse a 16-year-old just because they don't have any ID, and they're literally standing on the street telling us in very blunt way what they're going to do with us when we finish our shift and getting the camera out and insult. I would never dream of walking up to a doorman and calling him a prick and never. Oh, don't get me wrong. When I was younger, I might say it when I was 15. I might say it from across the street, then run because I was the kind of teenager I was.
But someone from 200 yards away, guy.
But I would. But today they come right because it's that you can't touch me culture. We can't. We don't listen. I'm not advocating the door staff to start going out and beating up children outside their venues. That's not what I'm saying. But the culture has changed. The level of respect for police, for security personnel. I mean, we've talked about retail guys. There are people who blatantly just go in shops and don't even conceal their items and walk out with it.
But you touched on something there. It's this thing. Go back pre-social media. Why am I having an argument with? Why am I calling out the bouncers or the doorman? I have to have a real grievance, or I have to genuinely want to dominate or overpower this guy. The difference is now you're doing it for the likes and views.
Yeah,
kids are doing it now because they're videoing it all to go viral. Because when you see most of them don't actually get into the altercation, do they? Give it.
Yeah.
Then they back off, or sometimes the doorman gets so pissed off he'll end up lumping them. But same with the retail. It's a bit ironic, isn't it, that these are all videoed, these situations, and then it's gone viral.
Mm.
You know, we are living in an influencer world now, and that I believe is one of the biggest challenges to door security. The fact
Absolutely.
that everything you do now, there's a group of mates. They may not lay hands on you, but they're videoing it.
Yeah.
They're enticing you.
And they are cutting the video to suit their narrative.
Absolutely.
So 99.999% of it, you could be acting in the most professional way.
Yeah.
But you allow that guard to drop for 3 seconds and you acting in an unprofessional way for a couple of seconds, and that's the bit that's going viral. And all of a sudden, you're the unprofessional bully security guard who's named and shamed.
I think it shows how important those standards are, though, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And you do have to maintain it. If you're on the shop floor, if you're being watched, you have to maintain that 100% of the time.
Yeah.
You know, and we're good, debriefs coming after and all that. You know, some companies did that really well. And, you know, hold on, mate, how did that situation go? What happened? What sparked it? What you can do better? What we're going to change? You know, it's important.
So we've obviously, all three of us have done door work predominantly. Is there any other any other areas of the industry you've worked in that's not door supervisor work? Have you done any other kind of security?
I mean, I did bits and bobs of retail.
Yeah.
Hated it. It wasn't for me.
What was it like having ADHD and working retail?
For me, I didn't enjoy it. I mean, I did a few days of one place, and it wasn't for me, the daytime stuff. A lot of it was just, okay, I mean, we talk about like entitled kids, but actually you got probably the most difficult age group I found would be kind of the 50-year-old males who are managers, who don't get told what to do. They're the leaders in their house, they're the leaders in their workplace. You can't tell me not to walk in this back door or to go on that side. Mate, come on, behave. Just, do you know what I mean? Like, and so there was a lot of that of entitled people around. I'm not going to show you what's in my trolley or whatever it is. So I didn't enjoy that. I think interesting. I once got posted to look after some reindeer.
Did you?
So the garden centre received intelligence that people were going to come and steal the reindeer. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so I got posted to do that a couple of nights. That was pretty funny. A good one I did was it was the elections and by-elections.
Okay.
Again, it was through someone else I was working with, but so they don't, due to the law around it or whatever it is, they don't subcontract that out to a company. It's all individual people. You know, someone might know someone and he'll get 20 guys that are badged. And you're there to, ensure people aren't messing with the count, ensure people aren't putting pressure on the people that are counting, other political people, whatever. But because there was no middleman, that was extremely well paid, and it was for the borough. So,
wow, yeah,
you were getting 3 or 4 times what you were getting for standing on the door on a Friday night. And of course, if there was a recount, a miscount, sometimes they go on for 3 or 4 days. And I remember literally not leaving for about days and nights at one place, just grabbing an hour's sleep in a back room somewhere because. If I was earning £30 an hour, I wasn't leaving for 72 hours.
Was that a challenging for you, those longer shifts?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a challenge for everyone.
£30 an hour talks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. If anything's going to motivate you not to go to bed, it's earning 3 times what you want. I mean, I don't know what people are getting paid now for a Friday and Saturday night on the door, but it was like £10 an hour was the going rate from the 90s right up to about 2015 for me.
And you know, whether it's door work or any other area of the industry, if you're working subcontracted, managing the industry is an important part of your career progression, because you're going to hate this. And I know this is going to really needle you, but say you've got a shift to fill on Saturday and you say, oh yeah, we can pay time and a half. Today's Monday. I'm like, get back to me on Thursday or Friday if you haven't filled it yet, and we'll see if we can get that. Because you know the money. It's funny, the less this is the most we can pay on Monday. It's funny how that that
Fit
rate
your
can be a little bit
changes.
higher when you get to Friday.
Yeah.
And I used to, yeah. So if someone ever came to me and said, "Look, we need this covered," I'd say to me, "Come back to me on Thursday. Let me know if you haven't filled it yet."
The desperation.
And then we'll negotiate it. Because I'm sorry, I know it sounds awful, but it's all money orientated. It's a money orientated business, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the how badly do you want that shift filled? If it needs to be filled tomorrow, you'll get more money out of the employer than you would.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the £30 an hour jobs when it's last
Yeah,
minute.
absolutely. Yeah.
No one's coming to you and going, "Got a job for you," unless you're in the close protection ward. "Got a job for you in 6 weeks' time. It's £35 an hour."
Yeah.
No one's doing that.
No.
It's always tomorrow, 2 days notice.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's where you get the money.
Yeah.
Which shows you how much these companies are making.
Yeah.
But
Well, some are.
yeah, I know. I'm not.
The profit margins are very slim on some jobs, but yeah, you are right. Yeah, some do.
We believe you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll tell.
I'm only joking.
Do you know? Right, when I provided to the Weatherspoons, doesn't matter if it goes to here. But I remember we charged it a certain amount, whatever it was, and we were doing like 8 or 9 of them at the time. And then one day, and this would apply to the companies that you'd have worked for because they were a major provider to them. But we got letters nationally to all the security providers, and it said you need to come to Watford, which is where the head office was. You need to bring updated venue policy agreements, health and safety. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And also, you need to come with the mindset of, are you able to take on more Weatherspoons contracts? And if so, what areas could you do? So we remember driving up there thinking, right, we do Bournemouth, we do Southampton, we do Poole. Could we go further? Well, if the price is right, yeah. So we had this thing. There must have been about 120 providers in the room.
Yeah.
And we sat there and we're all chatting to each other. And obviously no one's disclosing what they charge because everyone charged different rates. And I knew of companies in London that would charge a lot more, but they were, because of the threat level. Yeah. So I knew Weatherspoons were paying different rates. But anyway, remember we went into this room and you go in one way and you come out in another. And we sat there and the guy, we put the venue policy agreements down, and we've been provided to Weatherspoons for about 10 years. He's just fantastic. Shoved it to one side. He said, right, the reason why we've got you here is unfortunately we've got to reduce the rates. It was the least thing you'd ever expect. I've never heard that in my life. Not from one of the biggest pub chain in the world.
Yeah.
So you sit there, oh, okay. They said, well, we've got you out of courtesy face to face, because if you can't match this rate, we understand. But you're all here today because we can then allocate to other people. Can you accept this rate? And I searched you down, it was about £3 an hour cheaper than what it had already been. Now, when you take £3 an hour off, the profit margin then was pretty much non-existent. But they've got you there, and you're like, in your head quickly, you're like, we've got 8 or 9 contracts. God, that's 120 hours a week, whatever it is. Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
You don't have a chance to talk to anyone else because they send you out of a different route.
Yeah. So you can't collude competition and
you can't.
Yeah. And I remember, I don't know if it probably would have been around that time I was working for your rival, and they put me over to a Weatherspoons. They didn't tell me that the rate was £9.30 an hour, £9.50 an hour. I was on another rate before that. I just thought, I'll go to another venue. Didn't even think about my rate was my rate. I was on a pretty good rate at the time.
But the reason why I say that is because if I had said that to the guys at the time, they'd have gone, of course. Yeah. They wouldn't believe that. They wouldn't believe that we'd just been pulled in and had all the the rates reduced. But the alternative for that was to say we won't do it, because they made you sign there and then. Wow. If we had said, well, we need time to think about it, well, you don't have time. You either want it or you don't. And they did the same thing with so Weatherspoons. They were at one point the biggest pub chain in the world. That was still owned by the same man, not stocks and shares. They had Red Bull, and I remember he had this big discussion about how they do business. Red Bull was in all their pubs. They were doing millions of cans of Red Bull a week. So they went to Red Bull and said, we want to pay you significantly less. And they're like, well, that's not going to happen. He said, okay, well, we'll go to we'll get Monster. And then they went to Monster Energy Drinks, said, we want to pay you. They, well, we can't do that. I said, well, Red Bull have agreed to cut it to this. Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Monster agreed overnight. Within 24 hours, all the Red Bull had gone, and all your Wetherspoons pubs now have got Monster Energy Drink instead. But they screwed them. They're very wealthy. But the point is, it's economies of scale. You can't battle someone that is providing all that business. It's like a supermarket. You know, it's when you're an independent, it's hard because, like you say, you can say screw you, but
they've got the power. Haven't
they've got power.
Yeah.
That is
it's ruthless.
It's ruthless, but to
it's
do,
not good.
Yeah.
But
and that's, and I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not actually putting any blame on the security companies, because actually that means that you have to pay less, because otherwise how do you survive?
Yeah.
But that's why I think it becomes really important for the operatives to also know your worth and have that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pick that fight and actually, okay, I'll come off Wetherspoons then. You know,
well, we didn't pay less, but my point is that
yeah,
it's interesting that sometimes the profit margin isn't what the guys on the ground think it is.
No,
there are some, of course, but a lot of times not. But yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. So, looking back over your career in the industry, would you say there's a time or an incident where you would look back at it and think, my ADHD hindered me there, helped me there?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably we've covered most of the bits. I suppose definitely the crisis kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you know, for sure. You know, I wish I had the understanding that I have now and had done the work around it back then, and was able to apply it back then and pace myself in the right areas, or understand what I'm feeling is this, it's not that, and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think you know, it's helped me be really capable in lots of areas, and that always served me well, because then I'd always be the choice for people. You know, I don't know, it sounds like big-headed, doesn't it? But you know, people want me on their team. They want me to come and do this. They, hey, do you fancy taking over this store? You know, whatever it was. So I think in lots of ways it really helped with that. Certainly with the crisis management stuff. Certainly with the kind of the empathy side of things as well. You know, I really knew how to treat people. And yeah, I was being all right in those crisis situations. I think in terms of hindering, definitely would have been that, kind of that period where I last worked and I stopped. You know, it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. It would have been all that kind of stuff that I was, you know, around the depression, around the anxiety, around the just trying to function as a human being, really. And I just didn't understand what was going on. Do you know what I mean? It was just, all these separate things, but actually they weren't separate things. They were because of the ADHD, and they were byproducts of that. So once I'd gone and done, you know, I think, you know, talking earlier about working now at 40 or whatever, I think I'd be a much better doorman in lots of ways. You know, a much better security team member, more understanding. I think I'd be calmer in lots of ways as well, or I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? So I think for me, positives and negatives. When you're doing well and you're firing, all those things are working in your favour, and it's great. Do you know what I mean? Well done, you handled that situation amazingly when other people couldn't have or wouldn't. But then obviously when it's all stacked against you and you're not in a great place, then 100% it had a hindrance and had an effect. And you know, I suppose the really important thing for people is if they've either been given a diagnosis, or you know, maybe they've self-diagnosed themselves or whatever, or they understand, I'm showing a lot of these traits, is going and having those conversations with your boss. Because you know, like I work with different companies, and some people made really great adjustments for me, understood where I shined and where I didn't, and okay, well, let's use him where he's great at. And but you know, as an employer, you can only work with what people give you, right?
Absolutely.
So you know, if you're feeling that stuff every night before going for a shift, if you're thinking I can't do this, or you know, you're in crazy debt, or you know, you're struggling with addiction, or whatever it is, all these kind of byproducts of that diagnosis, then it's really important that you're, I think, brave enough to just open your mouth and have a chat with, you know, your supervisor, your manager, you know, whoever it is, someone that you trust, and say, you know, we have to make reasonable adjustments for people, don't we?
Yeah.
And you know, actually, if you can be honest, then most people will. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think bring the episode to an end. How about we fire some quick fire questions at Darren, put them on the spot.
Go for it.
Yeah, I've not been on the spot the whole time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, favorite venue?
The Litten Tree. To work?
Yeah.
The Litten Tree.
Litten Tree in Bournemouth. What period would that been?
Oh, 2013 to 2015.
Okay.
It's a great team. Probably the best team I'd had, I believe.
Yeah.
Same guys Friday and Saturday night, with the occasional one extra here and there. But, you know, all those guys are like my brothers. Do you know what I mean? I still talk to, if, you know, if I had a bit of a situation, they'd be there for me and I'd be there for them. So, yeah, Litten Tree 2013 to 2015.
Would you rather work a big 10 doorman venue with an internal rotation or a nice little 2-man door?
Going to depend on the venue, innit? Big venue, I think.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, big venue.
You like that? This is your spot for 30 minutes. This is your spot for 30. You like that rotation and that almost that military style way of working?
Yeah, I think so. He's like
I
changing
suppose.
it up a bit. Again, I generally tended to always be on the front door, even in the big clubs.
Yeah.
But yeah, rotation, different things. Yeah, probably bigger venue, more staff.
Okay. Shirt and tie or high vis?
High vis.
Oh,
I think for comfort.
Oh,
For comfort, it would depend on the venue. You know, for me, I know all venues have their own.
Yeah.
But would I rather be in a situation where I'm having to restrain someone in my shirt and tie, or would I rather be in my listen, my shirt and tie's were all from flipping Georgia, Asda, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Nothing wrong with that.
You know, wearing your Armani to.
I always used to send people there.
Yeah, of course.
I said, get yourself a £14 blazer. It looks fine. It's probably going to get ripped anyway. So
yeah,
That's that. Yeah. Primark stuff.
Yeah, I think for hardiness, ease, and I'm going to go high vis. I'm sorry.
We'll forgive you. We'll forgive you. Cheese night or R&B?
R&B.
Really?
Wow.
Because of the music or the crowd?
To work.
Probably the music. It's got cheese night, so.
Hey, the Grease Mega Mix.
Yeah.
50-year-old bird touching you up. It's great.
I prefer the R&B nights as well. But, well, I prefer the music. But it depends, it depends what the crowd's like.
Yeah.
Some of them are proper hardcore, crappy crowd. But if it's a nice crowd, then an R&B night I thought was really good. But
I think sorry, I know it's quick fire questions, but you know, I used to really dislike the real hard house nights, and it wasn't just the music; it was the crowd that was attracted. But I love big drum and bass raves because, you know, everyone was sound, all that, and I probably knew most of the people who do music and all that anyway. So yeah, it's definitely
and that's the thing, isn't it? Because your taste in music changes depending on what you've experienced at work.
Yeah.
Because before I started doing door work, I wouldn't listen to Dolly Parton. I wouldn't listen to any of that. Now when it's on the radio, I love it because they were the best nights to work for me. They were the nights that were fun.
Yeah.
Darren, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. You're a fantastic role model for anyone who's coming into the industry who are having the challenges of managing ADHD or neurodiversity. And yeah, hopefully when this video goes out, it will help a lot of people. So thank you for taking the time and spending it with us today.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure meeting you, mate. Pleasure meeting you.
Guys, thank you for watching all of this. Please like, share, and subscribe, and keep following us on the Shift Handover. Stay safe.
Till next time.